9:36. Present for Carol Rowe, Bill McGowan, Paul Kearse, and Jim McNeil. Welcome, Jim, again to the meeting.
Thank you.
As part of our first agenda item, our next meeting will be on the 16th of June, same time, 9:30.
What day?
Good. The 16th.
Oh, that's what it was about.
June
Yes.
16th, a Monday?
I mean, I should go back a bit. It's the 19th, sorry.
The 19th, we're not here. It's June 19th. It's a holiday.
Juneteenth.
Right. So the 18th?
I can do the 18th, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know about everybody else.
Yeah, that's fine. That's Wednesday.
Yes.
Okay, so first order of business is Pleasant Street. And I know that Dan put together, and I don't know if he's a participant or not, outside of this.
Yeah, he's not. He is
Okay.
not.
He's not
Not
here.
on it?
Yeah.
That's all right. I thought he was pretty clear as to what we need to do and how we need to do it, so.
Yeah. So just to bring you up to date, John, we had you on, I don't know, probably 6 months ago, whatever it was, when One Pleasant Street wanted his occupancy permit. So we agreed to do the first floor because there was no EDUs assigned to that, any new EDUs assigned to that. And then we talked about the 14 apartments upstairs, and you told us that as each one is finished, part of your process is, in order to give that one unit an occupancy permit, you would come to sewer for us, and we would assign the privilege and hookup fee at that time as each individual unit, as opposed to charging them the whole $156,000 at one time. So here we are. We haven't received that list from you. We understand some of those units are under agreement. So we haven't seen any individual from any of those units. We don't have any of the addresses and how many bedrooms per address.
Okay, and it sounds like the hookup fee, we have the total amount, so we're just going to assign for the 14 units, 1/14 per unit as far as the fee.
So we have a fee. It's based on the number of bedrooms. So one bedroom is charged, what is it? We have 37.5 divided by 4. So a one bedroom is 9,375. A two bedroom is double that. And so we needed to understand on those 14 units what their address is, and then what fee applies to them. And then we gave all 14 units an 18% discount for the affordable housing that was credited to the town. So there's a discount on top of that, unless the property owner wants to pay us the whole 156 up front, and then he can just go sell his units. It's one or the other.
Okay, I did reach out to the attorney, and I think they have it set up that 1/14 will be paid for the sale of each unit, regardless of bedroom count. So again, each sale for each unit, the 1/14 of the total of 156,000 will be paid. So what I was proposing to do on my occupancy, because the occupancy is issued prior to the sale, was to note that as a condition on the occupancy, saying to be paid at closing.
So the owner of the whole building is going to be paying. He's going to divide the 156 into 14, and as each unit sold, he's going to pay us.
Yeah,
not
there's going to be, at the closing of that unit, a check will be issued to the town of Cohasset for that amount for each unit. So that
So
would
it's
be
not it's not going to go, the resident who's buying the property is not going to be paying us, is what you're saying?
No, it will be a part of the closing and a restriction on the occupancy that it is paid at that point.
Okay, do we have an agreement in writing to that effect? Because we didn't.
I spoke with Attorney DeLisi yesterday, and that was the email correspondence that he put forward with Paul. I could get that email from him there, but that was my intent to, as I go through, condition the occupancy, so we have something in writing that follows it and a document that goes with it, so that the town gets reimbursed at the when they sit down at the table for the closing. That's when the check is issued.
Yeah, I would want something. I think Paul wants to say, he's probably going to say the same thing. We need to have something from them that says they agree to this.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
I
we-
can have them forward the email. I think
Okay.
it was kind of discussed at one of the meetings, but it was sometime last year.
Okay, so the property is still considered One Pleasant Street for the sake of the sewer commission collecting $156,000?
Yes, and so that, again, that will be, we have not issued any occupancies for the dwelling units yet. So
Okay.
we're getting close to doing that. But I wanted, this is perfect timing, so I could condition my occupancies to get that information to you guys.
Okay, and you're saying Jeff DeLeese is representing the property owner?
For the sewer matter, yes.
Okay,
So I'll reach out, have that email forwarded to you guys, and then proceed by conditioning the occupancies as I issue them for the payment at the closing.
okay, so we need something in writing. So either the sewer commission is going to draft something in writing, or you have something in writing that states that the 156 will be paid as each dwelling is sold. We got to track it, right? So we got to figure out how to track it.
The minutes of the meeting when it was approved basically details that already. So your approval stipulates that.
Yeah, no, I'm almost set with that, Dan. I'm
Okay.
talking about tracking the payments when they come in. So
Yeah, and I would just add on, I think just given the issues we've had putting it together, that I think it's having a very clear document from them to us saying they agree to this, to memorialize it, will help us if we're not here at some point in time. Somebody's trying to,
Yep.
Dissect this thing again.
So
Yeah,
John,
yeah.
is that something you're comfortable providing, or do you want us to take care of that?
I can reach out to Attorney DeLisi and probably
Yeah.
have him email that correspondence. The same, he sent that correspondence to the owner of the building, stating kind of what Dan had mentioned, kind of highlighting the minutes and the details there. So
Okay,
I think the email also had additional information on affordable housing and how to register that, but that's a separate issue from
yeah,
this way.
yep,
So I think with that email, the certificate of occupancy stating that, we'll have a tracking method for that.
okay,
And then as they're paid, because I'll probably issue the unit occupancies as they're sold instead of issuing all 14 at once. That way we a tracking method there. So I'd rather leave a couple occupancies to get used to being paid, and we have a
Okay.
record. So I think that would be, I think they'd be open to that. It makes more sense.
okay.
Are the payments going to come to me?
I'll
should.
coordinate that too. Either I'll have it sent to this address, or
Okay. And they're gonna need
again,
the
check
information
will
on the
be issued at the closing.
The information on the check needs to have which unit it is.
It will be
So that I can track
certificate
it.
of occupancy will also have the unit number.
Okay.
Reach out to the fire department to confirm the unit numbers. The units are all numbered now, but we just between Rachel and Jack Hearn at the fire department, we just want to confirm all that.
Okay.
Generally, what we've done is the second floor units are 200s, third floor units are 300s. And we try to stack the units above each other so they correspond number-wise with the last couple digits. So it's probably 201, 202, and then above that would be 301, 302. Just so there's some order to it anyway.
Right, and each unit's gonna have its own meters, right, for water and sewer
Yes, we would
purposes,
try-
yep,
Yep, they're looking to put those in too, so we can track that as well.
okay.
Those sewer use.
So do you want us, we can follow up with you on the 18th?
Yep, and what I could do in the meantime, I'll reach out to Jeff DeLisi, have that email forward to Carol, and she can distribute it so you guys have the kind of record of disbursements.
Okay,
Thank you, John.
sounds good. Thank you so much.
All right, was there anything else? But if Carol needs anything else, she can reach out.
Yeah, I don't think there was any other questions there.
Will
I don't think we have
Brenda,
any-
will Brenda be notified once they're up and running? Each unit?
Yes, I did speak with Brenda yesterday,
Okay.
so she will, she's kind of on board to start issuing with the unit numbers too, so I'll double check with that.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, John.
All right, thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
Okay, our next agenda item is CJC invoicing.
I just
Yeah.
wanted to let you know that I did receive the check from Donald Stasko for CJC, or the checks, because he has it broken out into 3 separate.
Units, yeah,
Units.
390, 380, 400.
And I did send out the next invoice for both
Okay,
them and
Right.
Cook yesterday, so that's all set going
So
forward.
Carol, we're supposed to be billing him quarterly, and it should match the same quarters that the town recognizes. And then on your invoicing, you need to put the same terms and conditions that are on the tax bills that we send out to residents as well, where if it's not paid within a period of time, there's a financial penalty.
Okay,
So if you could get that language, I don't know if Linda may have that language, but I know certainly when I get my tax bill, it says after 30 days, you have to apply a 1.5% annual, so whatever the language is on the fee.
Yeah, we
I-
can, we can print
we
a
need
copy
to
of the
have that-
bill to get the
We need to
wording.
have that.
that'd be great,
Okay,
thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah, we need to have that on the invoice before you send it out. And so the next quarter, Carol, is July 1. So
Mhm.
I don't know what invoice you just sent him. And
Well,
what was the payment from?
The
What-
original invoice I sent him was in February, so that was supposed to be for March.
Okay, so March, April, and May, you're off on your billing
No,
cycle.
it was supposed to be paid in March. And then,
Okay,
but he wasn't paying anything. I didn't receive anything from him at all.
okay, so April 1st, you should have sent the second bill, right, for the second quarter, or this would be the fourth quarter for the town.
Right. But he didn't pay anything.
It doesn't matter if he pays or not. So we need to send him quarterly
Yep.
quarterly invoices, right?
Okay,
At the beginning of each quarter, and the fee applies. If he doesn't pay it in time, that fee gets calculated and he has to pay that fee. And if he doesn't pay those, then he's in default and we put a lien on the property.
okay.
So that's how it works. So I would suggest that this invoice you just sent him is, you're going to have to recognize that as
July.
fourth quarter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Billing, and then you're going to have to send him another one on July 1st to cover the first quarter of 2026 fiscal year. for the town.
Okay.
Right. But you need to get that penalty on there, because if he's not paying us 3 or 4 months, then that's 3 or 4 months worth of interest and penalty fees that we need to be collecting on top of the late fee, on top of the current fee.
Just to jump in as a quick side note, Carol, I don't know on the invoices you're sending out, so if he's behind on the invoice that you sent following that, are you showing that it has arrears for the previous quarter? Or is he just getting an invoice with a new like quarterly amount, so it's not necessarily even showing that he has arrears?
I
Yeah.
I'll have to look at it.
Does,
I don't
does,
have it in front of
Linda,
me right
does the town bill in the rears?
Yep, so when you get your water bill, if you haven't paid the last quarter, it'll have a section on it that says in arrears, and then it shows that what you owed for the previous quarter plus what the new quarter is, giving you a new total it's due.
Okay.
Yeah, and Linda, kind of a stupid question on my part. Is there any reason why you can't handle our, billings on certain parcels?
We can, except this is kind of a funny little agreement. I presume this
It
is what
is,
you're
yeah.
talking
No, no.
about, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the
So
same as Cook.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
Cook's under similar, yeah.
So this has been the discussion back and forth, right? So I think that they've been looking into it. We could have, and originally we discussed that back when Mary Quill was here. I think Mary Quill and I both said, you could do it as a betterment and we can get it on like every other betterment. But then I think that it was, from my understanding, Mary and I were both kind of dropped out of that discussion completely. But my understanding was that Greg Corbo came back and said that you couldn't treat it as a regular betterment for whatever reason, and that I have no knowledge of or no privy of. I can just tell you we're not doing it because it's not in our system, because it was
Yeah.
never set up that way.
Okay. I just seemed, if we have basically accounts payable and receivable, component within our business unit, we're not using it.
Mm-hmm. Now we're using it on everything else, and that's what gives us the right to lien to the real estate bill, but we can't do that with those agreements
Yeah.
that you have right now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that. I just had to ask a question.
Yep,
So,
sure.
okay. Are we all set with CJC?
Oh, I don't know. Is Brian talking to us or to somebody else? I
I
can't,
don't know.
I don't know.
Looks like he's
You all
using
set,
sign
Paul,
language.
with that? Paul, are you
Yeah,
good with CJC?
I am. Yeah,
Okay.
it's not working, Brian.
Brian, we can't hear you. Sorry.
Have him walk down to me.
You can come hop on with me or Carol too.
So what are you using, Carol? QuickBooks or something like that to bill it?
No, I'm just setting up a
A
spreadsheet.
Word document?
Yeah.
Okay,
Hi, can you all hear me now?
Yes.
there we go.
Yeah, no, I just, so we've been talking about this since the billing. We have 20 years of this, so I think we should look at it again with Corbo. We haven't discussed this with them, I think, recently, or gotten an opinion on whether we can put a betterment on this or put it in the regular billing system. When I reviewed the law with Rachel, it's the definition of the law would seems to me that it would apply. So I think we need a legal opinion because it's kind of a shit show, to be honest with you. Like on getting the billing, and then 5 years from now, what's it going to look like when all of us are not here, and then there's a new person trying to figure out what
Yeah,
it was.
plus we're supposed to be calculating interest as well. So, so they're both properties, Cook and CJC, are at 4%. And what makes Cook more unique is when they sell a unit up there, they're supposed to pay the full debt off. So their balance should drop quicker than over 20 years. Then the CJC is basically a fixed term loan, where Cook's is more like a revolving line, because when a unit is sold, that debt is to be paid off directly. So as they're turning over units up there, their balance should be coming down quite a bit. So they should be paying more than the quarterly payment. If a unit is sold, they're supposed to be paying us the full amount of what was owed on that property.
Yeah, so I mean, I think bottom line is it would better fit if it was in a long, regular accounts payable and it had a term of 20 years or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
rather than being in an admin office with a reminder every quarter to do something, look at the arrears, recreate the
I hear
way.
you.
Yeah.
And then like lessons learned is don't do these agreements anymore.
Yep.
like
Well,
that's-
apparently we just did one with One Pleasant Street.
Yeah.
yeah,
I think next time around we just get the lump sum up front. So,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, that'd be
everyone
better. I
else.
think, you know, if we have to go this route for any period of time, I'd also suggest maybe we can look at some way of auditing to make sure that we're doing everything appropriately and we're not, you know, leaving any money behind for the town. Just again, Brian, to your point, and I know I've brought this up in the past, you know, as we go through different boards and time marches on, you know, people are gonna forget things that we've been talking about, so.
Okay.
Anyway,
so we're good with CJC then.
yes. Okay, Linda, you're up.
Hello. So I think Bill was on the email I sent. I just sent a question. I had spoken with Brian and Michelle Leary at one point about a couple properties that we weren't billing sewer for. And I just, being relatively new, wasn't clear on why we weren't billing sewer for them. So I know both of them had addressed that they wanted to bring it up after town meeting and talk to about. Michelle, actually, I spoke with yesterday, was pretty adamant and wanted to be on this meeting. So I'm not sure why she's not. But from the manager's office standpoint, she felt that everybody should be paying the sewer and the water. So what we see, and there were particular ones that I caught. I believe these are the only ones. I don't want to swear to it. It's they're, you know, they're not necessarily my systems, but it appears everybody is paying water as would be expected with an enterprise fund, except for one property, which is 4 Elm Street. And then when it comes to sewer, however, we seem to have a lot of discrepancy on what's going on it. So where we have the town paying water and sewer on Milliken Field, Lighthouse Keeper, and Harbor Master, which I would expect the towns usually do have to pay to an enterprise fund for their water and their sewer. We're doing that, but then we have the Sandy Beach Association paying water, but we stopped charging them sewer back in 2021. I have the Little League field noted, but to be fair, I looked back at it again and I don't know that they were ever charged sewer, so I don't know if you have sewer down there or not. I think I was told you do, but I'm not positive on that. I'd have to rely on you to tell me if you got sewer down at the Little League fields at 169 North Main.
So,
Yes,
yeah, so the Little League field has restrooms in a
Okay.
fixed building on a foundation.
Not septic sewer.
Same with Sandy Beach has a fixed restroom on a foundation as well. Of course, Milliken Field doesn't have any restrooms.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, they
So
do.
they're
They
they're
do.
all three of those locations are connected to the.
Oh, they are.
Sewer.
Oh, the
Yeah.
new Snack Shack has a restroom
Yeah.
now. Okay.
So my question was really, I guess I'm not clear on why, like, what we are charging the town, which I am clear on, and in all honesty, is the common practice throughout different sewer and water districts that I know of that are enterprise funds. But why we aren't charging Sandy Beach or Little League any sewer, I mean, we're still charging them water, which again, like, is what I would expect to see with an enterprise fund. But on those two, Sandy Beach, Little League, and the Historical Society with 4 Elm, we are not charging sewer.
Carol,
so
could you
as
let
that was my-
Michelle in? Sorry.
Oh, is she there
Carol, would you
now?
mind letting Michelle in?
She's not,
She said she's on, but she's not.
So I can tell you, the historical building, we did a waiver on the privilege and hookup fee when they added the toilet to that a couple of years ago. But we didn't waive a regular ongoing usage fee.
So they're not being charged for anything, I can tell you that.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
to be
Nope.
fair, you're right, they're
Nope.
not being charged for anything. The water is charging them, it looks like roughly $5, but yeah. So those three, I
So,
guess, were just my question.
Okay, so the question I have for you is, does water have different levels of fees that they charged based on any type of logical trail? Like, do they have, residents pay this fee, commercial properties have a different fee, and maybe nonprofits have a third fee? Is there levels of fees that are applied?
Nope, so all theirs is they have the base fee and then everything is based on usage after that.
So you have a 2-tier water rate and then you have a 3-tier water rate. So I don't know, is there a 1-tier water rate? So I don't know what those rates are. Are they different amounts that are charged? That's what I was trying to find out, because you said that anything with a C is charged at a 2-tier water rate for commercial accounts in multi-units, apartments and churches. Then you have a residential rate, which you said is a 3-tier water rate. Municipal buildings are down to a 2-tier, which I don't know if that a municipal building would be considered Little League and Milliken, because those are owned by the town, those buildings, right? So I don't know if they would be in that 2-tier rate. So I don't know where you are with water rates.
So I'm sorry, Michelle, 1 second. So what you're looking at, Paul, I didn't send you. I don't know who told you, who gave you the commercial.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
Brenda Douglas. Yeah,
That makes sense that
Okay.
Brenda would know that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we
But
just
they
have
are being charged. I can tell you that, like on my billing system, I can see that we are paying water and sewer for both of those, for all of those properties, except sewer is not being charged on Sandy Beach, Little League, and Historical. Sorry, Michelle. Feel free to hop in.
Yeah. So what I have is Sandy Beach, Little League Field, Milliken Field, and Elm Street Historical Building.
No, Milliken is paying. So just Sandy, Little League, and Historical are not paying sewer. They're paying water, but not sewer.
So Milliken's not being charged for sewer, you said?
Milliken is being charged for
Milliken
sewer.
is.
Right.
It is, okay.
The Little League fields on 169 North
yeah.
Main. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's just 3 of them that are not being charged for sewer.
Okay.
I
I just
seen,
wanted to understand, maybe our meeting would be with Brenda to understand the rate levels that she has and how they're applied, because we would want to be consistent anyway, and have, a similar process where, if she has different rates for different reasons, then we would want to take a look at those and understand that maybe sewer should follow a similar pattern.
So Paul, I can appreciate that, but sewer has one rate. And without going back to the ratepayers to change your rate structure, I think you would have to just charge the same rate that you would charge everybody else.
Right, and that's something that we can discuss as a board, because we currently do have 2 rates. I believe, and I would want to check with Brenda on this, for some reason, there is a different code for North Cohasset. And I don't know if that rate is the same or not, because North Cohasset is pumped to Hull, and Hull charges us more money than we charge the residents on our regular sewer rate. So I don't understand what her classification means, because we have it down as H classification for North Cohasset sewer. We do pump sewer to Hull, but we don't identify whose sewer it is. We were just saying we're pumping North Cohasset to Hull. So the question is, if she's coded them differently in her billing, we would need to know what that billing is. We certainly have other property in town that is billed at a higher rate because they're under contract for a higher rate. So we currently have 2 rates. The question is, do we have a third one for North Cohasset? I don't know the answer to that.
I'm sorry, Paul. So sewer has 2 different rates at the current time?
Right now, the sewer commission has 2 rates. One residential rate,
Okay.
and one rate
Okay.
that is specifically applied under contract in an agreement for a mixed-use commercial property.
Okay.
But the 3 that I was questioning wouldn't be under the mixed use commercial property, right? Because
No,
they're
it's
not.
free.
No, they-
No.
No,
Yeah.
they wouldn't.
Right.
No.
So Paul, you're suggesting maybe a third rate for your nonprofit organizations?
Well, yeah, what I'm thinking of is, first I want to identify what's happening in North Cohasset, because obviously we're charging our residents $10 or so, where Hull is charging us, 12 or 15, right?
So
Right.
I'm on the other line with Brenda. She's going to try to jump on here.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah.
And I think sorry, I've been having two conversations, but just listen to what Paul's saying. I think we don't charge sewer differently in North Cohasset than we do everywhere else in Cohasset, even though we're spending more to send it to Hull. We have the sewer
Right.
rate townwide, and I don't know if that's what point you were making. And then of
Yeah,
course,
no, I
it's
think,
clockwise.
yeah, so Brian and Paul, I think her classification, and she can speak to it, just if memory serves correctly, she has it coded differently because the sewer commission does pay more money, so that's just on her end, and for our benefit, not necessarily for the ratepayers' benefit.
Yeah,
But
so
she
that's
can answer
confusing.
that.
That's confusing to me, so we
Oh,
can
this
ask
is
Brenda.
Brenda. Thanks, Brenda. I'll get off.
So I guess my big question is, understanding that there may be a different rate, do we agree that they should be paying something for the use of the sewer?
Yeah, so I think the three properties that aren't paying anything at all, we should be billing them for sewer. The question is
Right.
whether or not the commission has different rates that they would apply to nonprofits versus residential versus commercial. So that's just a question that we have to ask ourselves if we want to do that or not. And then if so, then what is it? So now that Brenda's here, the question I had, Brenda, was in your codes for these properties and billing, you have an H for North Cohasset. So are they billed at a different rate? Or
No,
why do you code them differently?
I code them differently because I have to run reports at the end of each quarter and submit the spreadsheet to Carol and to the town of Hull and to the town of Hingham for the usage that goes to the town of Hull.
Okay, so the properties that have the H, you're recording the data of what the usage is for the purpose of us reporting to Hull what our usage is, and then they invoice us for that.
Correct.
Okay. So all of Cohasset gets charged that one rate, except for the property that we discussed coded SC, special sewer charge.
Oh, yes, Stasko's property, correct.
Yeah. So in the water department, it looks like do you have different rates that you charge? Because you've got 2-tier water rate, 3-tier water rate, and it didn't say anything about a 1-tier water rate. So I wasn't sure, do you have different rates for water based on?
Okay,
type.
well, the rate structure is as follows. Residentials get charged the 3-tier rate. So the first 2,000 cubic feet, and I'm gonna quote the fiscal year 2026 rates.
That's fine, yeah.
So for the first 2,000 cubic feet, it's $5.78. From 2,000 to 5,000 cubic feet, it's $11.56. Anything over 5,000 cubic feet is $15.79. So that is for residential.
Okay.
Now, commercial properties and municipalities are only charged the first 2-tiered rate, which is the 578 and 1156.
Okay, so if they use more, they don't go beyond the 1156.
Correct.
Okay, so they're capped.
Correct.
Okay. So what is tier 1?
Tier 1 is 0 to 2,000, $5.78.
So do you have any
besides
customers?
residential.
Do you have any customers in tier 1?
Everybody's in tier 1.
Right, but do you only bill for tier 1 and cap it as you do in tier 2?
No, what happens, it's a rolling. So for the first 2,000, let's
Yep.
just say
But if I'm a nonprofit like Historical Society or Sandy Beach, and I use more than the 2,000, instead of going beyond the 578 on the first 2,000, the second 2,000 I use is at 1156. I'm asking if there's a tier 1 where it stays at 578 as a flat rate for the entire usage.
No, absolutely not.
Okay, so you don't do that at all.
No, it's
Okay.
either 2-tier or a 3-tier.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all usage based, right, Brenda?
Correct.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Brenda, this whole discussion started with nonprofits and like Little League field and stuff. So the two-tier rate you said was municipal and commercial. Does it also include like like light keepers,
Okay,
CSCR,
well,
Legion, those kind of properties?
so right now, I just pulled up Sandy Beach because that's what you guys talked about. That's in as like a residential account.
So that if they used it, they go through the full 3 tiers.
Correct.
So it seems that they would be more commercial.
Yeah,
Um,
you know, the one thing one thing I would say about,
A, it's not residential to begin with, so you can't, you know, it's not residential. So it defaults to commercial.
If
Property.
somebody wanted me to change it to commercial, I'll change it to commercial.
Yeah,
That's-
but
it's
we're
always
talking
been
about
set up.
water rates. So the water rates are set. We're talking about whether we bill them for sewer or not, right? So there's
Yeah.
no tiers of the sewer. So it's
Yeah.
either a yes or a no. Either you bill them or you don't bill them.
So
Right, but-
Lighthouse Keepers is charged for sewer.
Can I add one thing about in this, I remember this just talking about Sandy Beach. The majority of their water, they were telling us, and I think it's probably true, is coming from the outside showers they have that go right into the sand. So do we have 2 meters out there? I mean, you know, it kind of gets into a little bit more, gets a little more complicated, I think, with them.
Yeah, that's why if they were in a 2-tier system, they wouldn't go beyond the $11.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, I don't think they're gonna get that way anyway. I mean, but you know what I mean? It's like there's a lot of their water doesn't go through the billing system, basically. I mean, it doesn't. It's just going out into the sand, and they're using it for showers and what have you. And
Brenda, did they just have the 1 meter there?
They have 1 meter. Last summer, they used 3,000 cubic feet and 7,500 cubic feet.
oh wow,
Again, just bringing it back to sewer, I think you make a valid point, Bill. Like it goes into the sand, so it's not getting treated. But the water rates of the water commission, like that, so those are set. You're not going to change them or change them commercial like that. So the question in hand is, do we bill them for sewer or not? And there's no 2-tiered rate or exception or like defining difference between an outdoor shower and.
Yeah.
right. Well, what do we bill them on? Do we bill them
So
on?
let me just say this, the only difference they have on sewer billing would be if they put their outdoor showers and anything that went into the sand on an irrigation meter and they
Yeah.
plumbed that differently, and then the toilets just went on a thing, and then you
Yeah.
quantify what's sewer and what's not.
And also,
I'm
if you
I'm
do
just
the-
thinking about the complexity of trying to build this thing with 1 or 2 different, you know, exit points on water. That's all.
Yeah, because there is a quarterly fee for that second meter too, which is built into the rate structure. So you'd have to figure out if it's even cost effective to do that.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well, I suspect if we're going to charge, what is the sewer bill? It's 75% of the water bill, right?
Is it that high?
You're charging what is it, $10 and
Yeah,
something?
10.50.
Yeah,
something like that.
you're right then. You're right. Yeah.
1046. But you'd also be getting your $43 a quarter in as revenue as well.
Yeah.
I'm wondering with the beach, not to stay too long on this one potential customer of ours, whether we just hit them with a flat rate rather than going through all the macerations of what they could or could not do, and just say, okay, we're going to charge you X amount, and whether or not, you know, based on an average. I mean, I would think, Brenda, that you've got historical data that gives us an idea of what their annual usage is for the last 5 years. And maybe we work out some sort of number based on that and bill them it on a monthly basis when they're open.
Unfortunately, I think like
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I'm
go back to CJC, going back to One
Back
Pleasant.
I know,
like,
I
you
know,
need,
I know,
like
I know.
one-off special deals. They're not
right, but I don't think there are too
impossible to
many
track and
nonprofits that
bill.
we're dealing with. Like, I don't think CJC's a nonprofit, and I'm just wondering a way that might be easier for us to manage it.
Well,
And
the only way is going to be, well, the easiest way is to apply the process that we do now,
Right,
What makes
nothing.
it, right, what makes it less expensive for Sandy Beach specifically is to drop them to commercial, because then they don't go beyond a rate of 1156 if they use more, right? So,
That's not your vote. That's gotta go to the water commission.
yeah, no, I'm just saying in general, if the concern is that their option is to put a separate meter on the outside water, which is what we tell residents to do all the time for their system. So
Right.
we should probably tell them to do the same thing. And the Little League field, they would have to do that as well, because I don't know if they have an irrigation system up there or not. But certainly,
Which Little
They have-
League field?
169 North Main.
Barnes.
Just to jump in, it's something you were asking. I'm looking back now in my billing system back in 2021 when they used to be billed for sewers. So I can tell you, like, I'm just talking calendar year now, not necessarily fiscal year, but they had just had like a base of 43, a base of 43. Then when they hit what's beginning to be the beginning of the summertime, they jump up
Yeah.
and also have 158.06. And then it jumps to 639 was their highest bill, which would probably be the one after the summer that included the billing of the summer. So,
okay.
so-
So that's not a lot of water usage then. So there
No.
is probably just the restrooms then. So that wouldn't be an issue then. So, Historical Society, we would just have to, kind of notify them, I guess, give a 30-day notice that they would be charged for sewer.
I think it'd be good, Paul, if we did all of them. You know, anybody we're gonna do, if we're not doing them, just
Yeah.
as a common courtesy type of thing.
Right. And then I would suggest to Sandy Beach to put on separate meters.
I suspect we're gonna hear from somebody.
Yeah,
Well,
I
like I
mean,
said-
obviously it's a tough decision. You can see how it came out in the first place. They're nonprofits. They
Exactly right.
came in and it was like, all right, let's not. but
I remember,
let's just speak.
I think if we go far enough back, we're gonna find, I think I was just on the board. I'm amazed I can manage it that far back or remember it. But I do remember a meeting where, because of the usage, we said, forget it. It wasn't worth it.
I
Now,
just,
that was
like I
20-something years ago.
Yeah, for Elm Street Historical, we voted to waive the privilege and
Yeah.
hookup fee when they decided to put that in. That
Yeah,
was a couple years ago.
They have one toilet. If they go into the second tier, they have a leak and they need to do something about it.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah.
even
They're
hardly
not
get
gonna flush
charged
the
any.
toilet that many times.
yeah, they get charged like $6 on water.
I
Yeah,
don't even know how many people.
Yeah.
go in.
Okay.
Yes, and just as far as the issue with nonprofit, I know you were talking about that, but that's again, like that was one of my questions, right? Because there was inconsistency, like obviously town properties are also so to speak, nonprofit. You're not declared as a 501c3 or anything, but we're not in the business of making a profit. So then it was the question of, well, like, why would we, for private associations that might be nonprofit, we were
Yeah.
giving them a break, but we weren't doing it on the other way. So that is exactly what raised my question. And to Brian's point, my only real question was, should sewer in fact be charging these people?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess before I'd answer, I'd try to think, how much revenue would we actually garner as a sewer commission if we were to charge all of the nonprofits something? We don't know what their usage would be, but
I don't know how
would it be
much.
$1,000 a year?
I don't know how much revenue you would garnish, but I would caution that it's a slippery slope, that if you don't charge them, then why are you charging all these other buildings that we're not
Correct.
in a profit?
Well,
So
I'm
then
looking
now
at
you're
that as well,
losing, yeah, because then you're losing a lot of revenue. It's not about how much you'll gain, it's how much you could lose if we're opening this door.
Yeah, but if it's a nonprofit, but again, you're right, it would be going into a lot of other things. So
Yeah, I mean, I run into this all the time, whether it's RTF or some other places. Like, we just need to be fair and equitable distribution of services and enforcement of rules across the board, no matter who they are, where they are, and what they do. Otherwise,
So I think the solution here is just for consistency purposes. I think the board should, talk about maybe a policy. And then when you set the policy, moving forward, we can make everyone right. But we're not going to go back, because that's what's going to happen. People are going to say, oh, well, they haven't been charged. Why were we charged? And we want our
Yeah.
money back, and yada,
Yeah.
yada, yada. So I think we just need to make sure that whatever the board decides, if you set a policy now, that's the policy from this date moving forward, and we just deal with it that way. And I don't think you have to come to a decision today. Obviously, I think there's something you would want to talk about at several different meetings, perhaps, and then write a policy for your nonprofit organizations.
Yeah, and I think that's a, good idea, Michelle. And I think, also however we define it so that, somebody's going to, again, try to do a postmortem on us 5 years from now, we can say, well, this is how we define what a nonprofit is and go from there. I think it would be great if we could get Brenda some data on the parcels that we talked about as to their water usage over the past 5 years. And I agree, we should have it on the next agenda. Carol, if you can throw this on and maybe ask Brenda to be on it, and we can talk Linda as well as you want, and figure out the best. I want to,
We just
the most
should
equitable
identify the
way.
financial, identify the financial impact.
Yeah.
To the properties, and then also what's the revenue that's generated from adding them to the sewer commission. But I'd like to know from Brenda, on your billing for sewer, you have a calculation of is it billed out as a percentage of the water usage and then the rates applied?
The sewer bill's based on 100% of the water consumption, unless there's a second meter in place for outside watering.
Okay, so I've always tell people like the sewer bill is 75% of your water bill. Is that accurate, inaccurate? I mean, what?
No, so
close?
100% of the water that goes to the water meter goes down into the sewer unless it's an irrigation meter.
Unless the separate meter, okay, and then our rate of $10 and whatever applies to that amount.
Correct.
Right. So do you have the ability to have tiers for sewer in your system?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, to that point, we can certainly put something together. I think I just, for those who come after us, I want something, or at least I hope the board would want, and I'm sure they will, something that is clear and defendable by all of us at whatever point in time it comes back up again, so that, to Michelle's point, if somebody's questioning how come I'm not on this and that kind of thing. Yeah, I think we can figure this out.
Okay. Yeah, if she's got the ability to do tier rates like she does for water, for sewer, then we can come up with something for nonprofits or whatever we decide.
Just, something to consider. So, I mean, obviously, we just got it was either 2 or 3 properties we were talking about here, but.
Yeah, so Carl, will just, for the next meeting on the 18th, if we could get the usage for Sandy Beach, the Little League Field and Elm Street, what they pay per quarter, what their usage is per quarter, and then we can apply our rate of the $10 and change to it to find out what the effect would be. And then we could have an open meeting and invite the 3 property managers in and discuss what we as a commission need to do as far as applying the rate, and then understand the effect of it.
If I could just add one other factor. So if you're going to apply to nonprofits, and I agree, you tell these people you're going to start billing them if that's the case, but you should also consider, all the other buildings in town. If you're going to apply the rate, it would be, Lightkeepers, CSCR, Legion.
Yeah, no, I think that's a separate project that we would take a look at, because we've discussed putting this in place with Greg Corbo last year, because we have offered discounts for affordable housing. And what we worked with Greg Corbo was that once we close One Pleasant Street, then the board would take on a policy where we address discounts for affordable housing, nonprofits, municipal buildings, and whatever rate structures we decide.
Yeah.
So, but in the short
Yeah,
term,
and-
certainly adding these 3 properties to the billing cycle, once we understand what the cause and effect of that is, notifying them, then we can move forward once that's in place to then discuss what our rates would be per property.
And Paul, may I add just one thing that you may want to consider, is maybe a seasonal rate. Because it seems like the Little League field, and Sandy Beach, Milliken Field, those are all seasonal properties. So you may think of something more seasonal for them. Not that I want you to have 100 different rate structures, but that may alleviate some of the concern as well, that they're not paying for the flat fee all winter long when they're not even open.
Okay.
We all set on this, talked out of it?
I
I'm
am.
good.
Okay.
Thank you for taking it up and looking into it. Appreciate the information. And to your point, I'd just like a little clarity, a
No,
little
it's not-
across the board, exactly
Nice,
how we got here.
nice meeting you.
And nice meeting you too. Finally, not through email.
Yeah, I know. Brenda, thanks for all your help on this. I really appreciate
Oh,
it.
Yeah,
No
likewise.
Okay, thank you,
Likewise.
guys.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, thank
Okay.
you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
So last on our agenda is Brian, to discuss, I&I work, where we are and all that.
He's frozen.
Connection
Yeah, no,
is unstable.
Oh,
Can
there
you hear me?
are.
Yep.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
So the I&I work is substantially complete, but we haven't given them the substantial completion certificate because of we're waiting on testing of the liner to come back. It's just it gives some structural testing of the liner that they installed, but the liner's all done. Laterals are grouted, the manholes are substantially done. But there's some punch list items on manhole work. And I had a conversation with Woodard and Curran designer this morning on kind of next steps and looking at the nor'easter we had a couple weeks ago with the high plant flow, looking at, trying to pinpoint where the most of that flow came from, just in a brief download. We still haven't done a full download, but a brief download. Rob Scott said a lot of the pump stations got a lot of flow. So it shows that there's pump stations around town that are getting I&I as well. So I think, we got the low-lying area here with this I&I work. I think we're going to have to strategically target next steps and phases of I&I work in different parts in sections of town.
yeah. Brian, while we have you, I just see that Scott has his hand up. Scott, do you have a question?
He's not on as he has to be on as a panelist.
I put him through.
There he is.
Yeah,
There
he
you go.
was.
Hi,
Hi.
how we doing? I'm sorry, I tried to get in a little earlier when we were talking about water, and I'm just gonna ask the question again quickly and we can move on. Do town buildings pay water and sewer now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
In fact, they're the first ones you should shut off during a nor'easter.
Yeah,
I'm-
really.
I'm only concerned about myself.
Because nobody's
we've been
in the
paying water
building
bill
during a
for a long
nor'easter.
time, and I wasn't, I thought I was hearing that town buildings are not required to pay that, so I just
No,
wanted
it's
to-
some of the biggest users are the schools and the water commission, and I don't speak for the sewer commission, but they don't want to give up that revenue.
Perfect, thank you.
I guess just while we're on the meeting, I just want to say thanks to Scott for all the heroics during the nor'easter. It was a
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
trying time with the high flow and 6 inches of rain. Like
Yeah,
that's
I'd like to-
unprecedented. in
I'd
the
like to
time
give
I've
him an
been-
award, but I think it's award enough to be working in the plant every day, so.
I couldn't agree more. My reward is just being here every day.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the kind words. I'm very grateful to have a good staff and a good supporting staff here as well. So it's
Yeah.
not just me, but I do appreciate the kind words. Thank you.
No, you're very welcome.
Oh, we lose-
Okay, do we have anything else that
lose
we
me.
need to discuss?
I don't think so. We got the One Pleasant Street refocused.
Yeah.
And then, in 2 weeks, we can talk about the three properties in
Yep.
question, and then those are kind of the big open issues, and then we just have to find out from Brian, now that we had town meeting and we approved the monies for the tank, when is that gonna be ordered and put in, and, what's the schedule of events, and where are we on membranes, and
Yeah,
all that stuff. So I think maybe
Yeah.
next meeting, we can kind of get a
good
date.
idea.
Is that good
Yeah,
with you,
Carol,
Brian?
please add that, would you?
I will.
Okay,
Yeah, Scott, so we spent $500,000 on the grinder pump. We just spent another $500,000 on a tank, because when we went to put the grinder pump in, the old tank is cracked. And then we want to know where we are with membranes and all the new ones installed. Are they up and running? Is everything great? Is it happy days again, or where are we,
Absolutely. We can provide an update for that.
Okay,
excellent. Anything else, Paul?
I don't have anything. I don't know, Jim, you got anything?
He's muted.
Sorry, my dog was barking. Yeah, the only thing I was reviewing the invoice that Carol provided, the summary of the invoices we pay, and I don't know, I just looked at, there might be some possible duplicates on that. Who reviews the payments? Where's the audit structure? Are we
Who are
the
they for?
auditing party?
Yeah, so Bill usually goes through the invoices and approves them to be paid and gives them to Carol, and then they go off to
Finance.
Neverland to be paid. Yeah.
Mhm.
It depends what invoice you're looking at. Are you looking at things that Brenda sent, Jim, or are you looking, like, I'll look at things, everything from electricity to Woodard and Curran to vendors that we contract, and they're basically
Yeah.
based on a purchase order that's been issued and a work order that is
Mhm.
made complete.
So
lot of
like generator repairs or something like that,
Yeah, I've done that.
$250
Yep.
invoices, they're all
Yep.
like the same number on the same date. I just saw that, I thought it to me, it raised a red flag. I didn't know if we needed to look
It-
into those.
You should come down sometime, and I'll absolutely invite you to look at all the electrical bills we have with the same
Of course.
invoice number, same date. In some cases, the same price, and in some cases, no prices. So it is the most,
It's probably pretty brutal.
it's ridiculous, but it has to be done. But for the most part, it's what I do is I basically base it on what we have approved, the work order that was issued, and then some verification of completion either by Woodard and Curran or Brian or
Right.
somebody else.
Very good. I just
So
said.
that's actually a very good question, because we really do have to have that check and balance. And go ahead, Brian.
My connection is weird here in town hall, but no, I was just gonna say the more eyes, the better. If there's any specific questions and invoices, I just email Carol and we check them out and make sure that, but I think that's a good call, Jim.
Very good.
Yeah, and I think, Jim, just for, so you can see the process, the next time that I have that Carol has a stack of invoices for me to look at, I'll give you a heads up if you can come down and you can see what we do. It's just more eyes on than it is anything else. It's not difficult. It's just being sure that, we know it was done. In a lot of cases, it's electrical bills and things of that nature, which is, we're taking their word for it. But yeah, I think it'd be best for me to invite you down and you can see what we do.
Yeah, of course, I'd like that.
and then train you to take over for me is what I'm getting at too.
I know where you're going with that. Don't worry. I can tell it's but I joined to help with the responsibilities. So
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah. Okay, anything else, gentlemen? Carol, Dan?
No, I'm good.
All right.
Well,
All righty, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Paul Kears, second.
Okay, we'll do a roll call. Bill McGowan, aye.
Paul Kears, aye.
James McNeil, I.
Excellent.
So have a great weekend.
Thank
We'll see
you.
everyone
Yeah.
on the 18th. Thank you.
Very good.
Thanks,
Take care,
Carol.
guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Thanks, Dan.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks, Dan.
Be sure.